We see this report that has just come out on the death penalty, the sub-Saharan view, where you are saying it's going down, it is a beacon of hope. Can you unpack that statement, beacon of hope? What does it mean?
Yes, I mean, a number of countries are beginning to see the inhumane nature of the death penalty as a form of punishment. Some countries that still have the death penalty on their statute books have not carried out executions in a long time, and that includes Zimbabwe, which, despite having the death penalty on its statute books, has not executed anyone for the past 10 years. And also, you find that just last month, the president issued a clemency order, which included commutations of death penalties for people who have been on death row for 10 years. So about 10 people benefited from that, and their death penalties were commuted to life imprisonment. I think South Africa, of course, has taken leadership already through a court decision by abolishing the death penalty and ruling that it is unconstitutional. Other countries as well that have not used it include Lesotho, Swaziland. Zambia also has not executed, I think, for over 20 years now. So there's almost a de facto moratorium in Zambia. For 20 years, no one has been executed, despite the fact that the death penalty is still there and death penalties are still being imposed. So we see that as there's a bit of hope, in the sense that if we engage leaders that are issuing clemency orders that have a de facto moratorium on the death penalty, we can persuade them to take the next step of abolishing the death penalty for all crimes. This is the ultimate goal of Amnesty International, the total abolition of the death penalty. So there is hope in that regard.
And there's hope for Zimbabwe?
There is hope for Zimbabwe, definitely, in the sense that the current leader himself is an abolitionist. He believes in abolishing the death penalty. And I believe that certain decisions have to be taken. There are a number of ways that the death penalty can be abolished. The first would be if Zimbabwe were to ratify the second optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights on the abolition of the death penalty. Once you do that, it then means that at an international level, you are then obliged to amend your laws so that you remove the death penalty from the statute books. That's number one. So an executive decision can be done to do that. Secondly, some countries believe in having a referendum and talk to the people, and then people speak. The problem is that sometimes the people's opinions may not be based on scientific evidence, and therefore the decision that comes from that process might not be the right decision to take. And thirdly, Parliament itself, maybe through Ministry of Justice, taking a decision that we need to amend the statute that provides for the death penalty, can then do so by a way of amendment process. So I think for us in Zimbabwe, we see a president who is willing to engage on the issue of the death penalty, who has made statements that is against the death penalty. The only question is, how is he going to ensure that Zimbabwe abolishes the death penalty? Which of those three paths is he going to follow to take that next important step?
Currently in Zimbabwe, you've said you've engaged President Mnangagwa on a number of occasions, but in as far as the death penalty at the present moment, what is it that is being done to make sure that it is abolished?
Yeah, so for us, we have we've had outreach meetings with communities, with traditional leaders. The idea is to try and get people to understand the heinous nature of the death penalty, and that it's not the solution to dealing with serious offenses or serious offenders. Because for us, there is no scientific evidence to show that the death penalty has any deterrent effect on the commission of serious offenses. So this is what we would want the people to understand, as we are also engaging the relevant people who are in the executive, such as the president. We will also meet with the Minister of Justice when we secure this meeting with the president within the next month or two. We also plan to meet with members of parliament to discuss the issue of the death penalty, because parliament will be critical in terms of carrying out the necessary amendment. And I think for me, other than the legal process itself, I think the political will is also critical.
Oh, yes.
So that you have people who really say, look, I think as leadership, let's take the lead. Maybe Parliament can actually say, let's take the lead. Let's do an amendment that removes the death penalty and maybe corporal punishment and things like that. And then we do consultations with the people now. So they will have taken the initiative using their political will and their leadership. So this is what we are hoping to do, that perhaps it can become an executive and parliamentary driven process that then reaches out to the people whom we will have already engaged as Amnesty International, which we have already started doing. And we're also working with a number of civil society organizations, such as Veritas, Zacro, and others, that are also doing advocacy around the abolition of the death penalty in Zimbabwe. Yeah.
Suppose the death penalty is removed. What is Amnesty International's other option? Of course, punishment has to be meted to these people.
Yes.
Not death penalty. What is the other option that can be used to punish the offender?
For us, we believe, life imprisonment is more humane. It is drastic, and so it will cater for these. Because people are concerned about the serious offenses and the serious offenders, such as murder, armed robberies, drug trafficking and such things. But as Amnesty, we are of the view that life imprisonment itself is enough punishment, because just being, if your freedoms are taken away from you, being in prison is not a joke. I think a lot of people who think that imprisonment is not enough, they've never spent a day in prison. Once one does that, then you realize how drastic that form of punishment is. Which is why actually when someone goes into prison, their other rights should not be curtailed, like their right to food, the right to medical care, and so on and so forth. Because just your freedom, once it is taken away, it is a serious infraction on your rights. And I think we believe that that will be adequate punishment for the heinous offenses.
Let's go back to the global picture. Apart from China,
yes,
who are the main culprits, which other nations are close to China in terms of meeting this death penalty?
I mean, countries like the US is a bit of a concern. I think I think it's because of there's a lot of violent crime in the US. There are issues of drugs in the US, and also we find that in the Arab nations, the issue of the death penalty. I think to me it's also, I don't want to sort of stereotype Islam, but I think that this issue of an eye for an eye, it might have its roots in that type of religion. I'm not so sure, but you find that in the Arab countries, the use of the death penalty is also rife, rather than China, the US, and then you've got countries like Somalia, Saudi Arabia, the South Sudan. So the Islamic code in itself, sometimes it comes up with harsh forms of punishment